You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. Guys, I got a couple questions for you today, and I want you to think about this. How much time do you spend thinking about teleporting to Europe or teleporting anywhere in the world that you want to be? How much time do you spend thinking about that? Okay, how much time do you spend thinking about going to Mars and colonizing Mars? How much time do you think about training yourself to be able to breathe underwater? So if you're listening to this and you're anything like me, you probably don't think about those things very often, right? So why don't you think about those problems? I mean, how cool would it be to be able to breathe underwater? How cool would it be able to teleport to France and spend the weekend in Paris with your wife? How cool would it be to see Mars and colonize outer space? Now, we do know Elon Musk is thinking about that some, but I know I'm not. And the reason that I'm not thinking about those things is because I believe that those things are impossible. I believe it's impossible to breathe underwater. I believe it's impossible to teleport, right? And even if it was possible, I know that I don't believe that I'm smart enough to figure that out or be on the team that's going to discover that. I don't believe that going to Mars is my destiny, right? I don't believe that that's my purpose in life is to go colonize Mars. I'm not an astronaut, on and on and on. So I know this sounds silly, but I wanted to use hyperbole to help you understand that when we think something is impossible, we don't think about it. We don't consider it. We get paralyzed. It's just not a problem that we're going to focus on. And so I've hosted a lot of Q&A calls, right? I've done a lot of weekly Zooms with the Deal Room. I've done weekly Zooms with the big Facebook group I manage with 25,000 people in it, My First Million in Multifamily. And we do questions and answers. I've gone live on Instagram, live on TikTok, and I get a lot of the same questions over and over and over. And what these questions tell me is these are obstacles. These are things that people think maybe they can't overcome, or they don't know how to overcome them, or they don't see a way around it. And so they're not working on the problem. Now, if they're asking the question, they're working on it more than someone that's not. But I wanted to talk about those questions today because if you are the average Joe, and maybe you own a couple rental properties, maybe you own a business, and you think about, man, I want to buy a rental property. Well, you kind of probably already know how to do that. And if you already knew how to do something, you'd be doing it already. And the reason you're not doing certain things is because you don't know how to do them. I don't know how to breathe underwater. I don't know how to teleport to France, right? And unfortunately, no one else in the world does. But there are people that do know things that you could do, but because you think, well, I don't know how to do that, that seems really hard, that seems impossible, I'm not even going to try, you stop right there. And this is where 95% of people fall. They don't get curious. They see other people doing things and they just say, well, they must be lucky, or they were raised with a silver spoon in their mouth. They were born a millionaire, their parents were millionaires, or they're smarter than me, they're tougher than me, they're a better business person than I am, whatever it is, and they stop. And so I wanted to talk about some of these questions and answer them on this show to help move you forward. And it's not going to be an exhaustive list of every obstacle you're going to face, and it's not going to be an exhaustive list of how to do everything. But I want to jar your brain and get you start thinking like, hey, maybe this is possible. Maybe this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Maybe there is a path. Maybe there is a clear way to do this. And if you start to think, holy cow, I could do this, that's the breakthrough. And that's when you start to actually work on the problem. And when you start to work on the problem, that's when you get results, right? So the results we're all looking for, financial freedom. We want to build a portfolio. We want passive income. We want to build net worth. We want to give our kids something. We want to be able to go on vacation with our wife. We want to have a minute to ourselves instead of having a boss, telling us what to do and being beholden to all these other people. We want autonomy, right? And so it's worth looking into. It's worth studying. It's worth becoming curious about. So let me just hit 5 or 6 questions that I get over and over and over. And I see these as probably the biggest hurdles or obstacles that people perceive in their mind. Okay, so number one, how do I even know what a good deal is? And this is going to be focused on apartment complexes or commercial real estate. But how do I even know what a good deal is? I drive by apartment complexes all the time. I poke around on LootNet, on Craigslist. I see stuff. I don't know if it's a good deal. I don't know. I know maybe on a single family rental, like, hey, here's the house. They're listing it for $150,000. I need to put down 20%. So I got the 30 grand. I've got the 30 grand and I can rent it for $1,500 a month, and I can pay my taxes, I can pay my insurance, I can pay my mortgage, and I can make you money, and it'll be a good thing. Pretty easy to understand. That's why a lot of people do it. That's why they do single family rentals, because it doesn't take but, a little bit of effort to understand that. And the down payment is 30 grand, not too bad. The loan, hey, I got a house loan, I got a business loan, I probably can get a rental home loan. Let me see what a bank will do for me. And the path is pretty clear. But when you're looking at bigger deals, and let's say you see a $2 million apartment complex, well, I'm probably going to have to put down, I don't even know how much I have to put down, but I'll tell you, you got to put down 25, 30%. So bam, there you go, $500,000 to $600,000. Do you have that? Well, no, I don't have that. Okay, you're going to need a loan for $1.4 million or $1.5 million. Can you get that? No, probably not. Okay, do you know that you're going to be able to operate this deal and make it worth more than $2 million? Is it going to be a good deal? Is it going to cash flow? Well, I don't know. And because of those unknowns, you procrastinate, you get paralyzed, and you stop. This was me for many, 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 many years, right? And we're all like that. There's a lot of things that I don't know how to do, and I don't really try to know how to do them because I just don't know how to do them. And so it's not a problem I'm working on actively solving. But if you feel like this is a future for you, if you feel like this is a plan that commercial real estate, which has built more millionaires than anything else in the world, could work for me, then maybe you should look into it. So how do I even know what a good deal is? This is the building blocks. And guys, I'm telling you, it's not that hard. I went through a course years and years ago, and it was very, very well done. It was a good course. It was a couple $1,000s. And by the time I got through it, I had a really good grip on what is the basic understanding of what a deal is. I could plug it into the underwriting spreadsheet. I could use the Excel model to figure it out. I could find deals online. I could plug them in there, and I could see pretty quickly that most of the stuff out there wasn't a deal. Unfortunately, the gold diamonds, they're not just littering the ground. They're there, but they can be a needle in a haystack. But I figured out the competence and the confidence of knowing what a deal is. So that's the first step. And guys, within a few weeks or months, you can get a handle on that. And I have a free tool, my underwriting spreadsheet. I got like a little 8-video course on how to use it. I give it away for free. Just shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, shoot me a message, whatever. I'll get it to you. Like, it's not rocket science, okay? But that is a question, is how do I know what a good deal is? This is something that's fairly easily solved. Within a month or two of studying this stuff, I would say, going through a course that's going to take you 8 to 10 hours to get through a course, you're going to have a grip on it, okay? But you may think, well, why would I even want to know what a good deal is if I don't have the money and I don't have the lending and I don't have the partnerships and on and on and on. And this is where I'm saying you got to get curious. And Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to get there in 2 or 3 weeks. Like, that's selling you the dream. That's selling you snake oil. That's not going to happen. Real estate is something that is not get rich quick, but it is get rich for sure. But it takes time to build. It takes time to build the skills. It takes time to close the deals. It takes time to operate the deals, to stabilize them, and eventually refinance and cash flow and sell them and make a profit, right? But it's worth it. That's what I'm here to tell you. It's worth it. And the last question I'm going to answer here is, how can I make money doing this stuff? So let's just put that one to the side. How do I know what a good deal is? You can solve that. A lot of people can solve that. That's probably the easiest piece to solve. Second question people ask is, well, how can I find a deal? Right now, I kind of know what a deal looks like, but how can I find a deal? I know that people are listing deals, but everyone I talk to that's in real estate says, oh, there's no good deals out there. Well, one, if you're looking for bad deals and you're thinking everything is overpriced and there are no good deals out there, that's all you're going to find. But it's not true, right? I've got 13 apartment complexes, 2 self-storage units to prove that you can find good deals, right? There's 76 deals closed out of the deal room last year, proving that you can find good deals. They're out there, right? So the tactical ways that I used to find deals, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of gold here, is a couple different ways. One is, and they all revolve around relationships, but one, and I would say the best way, is broker relationships. Why? Brokers are in this world day in, day out. They eat, sleep, breathe commercial real estate. They're calling every apartment owner. They're sending them letters. They're following up. They're saying, hey, we got interested buyers, and they know what's coming to market. Right? They know what's coming to market. And you say, well, yeah, but they're going to price it way up and throw it on the market. And I'm going to be in the herd trying to compete with everybody else who has more experience, et cetera, et cetera. Well, and that's true. But what you don't know is a lot of times these brokers, when they get a buyer that's interested or a seller that's interested in selling their property, they will go out to 10, 20, 30, 40 people and say, hey, I've got something coming to market. Do you want to take the first crack at it? And they do this because they know you can close. They know you know what you're doing. And they'll send you the T12, they'll send you the rent roll, they'll send you some pictures, and you can then do your analysis and make an offer at that point. And guys, I've bought at least 4 or 5 deals this way. Straight from broker, never went to market. We made an offer, put it under contract, and got a deal. So if you start to build a relationship with a broker, and I would say after you kind of know what you're doing, right? So you can speak their language and you don't get the door slammed in your face. But once you sort of have the fundamentals down, you can start talking with brokers and saying, hey, I'm interested. I see you have a deal that's online. I'm not really interested in that one. It's out of my wheelhouse, but this is what I'm looking for. Do you have anything coming up? Do you have anything pocket listing? Do you have anything in the future? Will you put me on your list? And you start to build that relationship. And as you do that, they know you, right? And then other brokers know you. And the more people you reach out to, the more people know you, because it's who knows you, who knows what you're looking for. Right now, nobody may know what you're looking for. They may not even know you're interested in apartments. Second way is through direct contact, right? Direct contact. Now, if you're a wholesaler listening, this is probably your wheelhouse. You're pulling data and you're cold calling and you're emailing and you're finding these deals. And this is where you can find crazy deals. Crazy deals. You can find creative sellers or creative financing sellers. You can find people that are motivated. And you're not in competition. There's nobody else offering on that deal. You're just talking to the seller and you're it. You're the one offer, right? And that's a very, very good place to be as a buyer. So how do you do this? Well, there's websites out there. Reonomy, CoStar, they have all the property, everything. And it's all listed there with contact information and email addresses and phone numbers and et cetera. And yes, you got to buy subscriptions to that. We offer this data as part of the deal room, but you don't have to do that. You can go buy your own subscription to these products, but they have this information. And you can sort by the market, by the unit size. You can even sort by the debt. Like, how much debt do they have? Do they have very little debt? Then they're probably going to be open to owner financing. Do they have debt that's maturing in the next 12 months? Well, they're probably thinking about selling or refinancing. They're going to be more motivated. Is this like 12 to 50 units? Because that's kind of where I want to start. You can sort by that. And there's a ton of information there, right? The other way you can do it is through looking around, opening up your eyes, seeing an apartment complex that looks a little bit run down, boarded up. Maybe it looks like it's not so fun to manage. There might be a tired, motivated seller behind that. Another way to do it is property managers. Property managers know what their ownership group is doing typically. They know, man, these guys want to sell. They don't have any money to keep up the property. They're sick and tired of it. Every time we have a meeting with them, they're aggravated. They want to sell, right? And property managers often have the inside track even before a broker, right? And building relationships with them. I had a property manager on one of my properties. He just called me the other day and said, hey, the property across the street is going to be going up for sale. They're interested in selling. You should reach out to them. Okay, boom, look up the tax records, look up them on Reonomy, CoStar, whatever. I can contact them and I can say, hey, I want to make an offer, right? This is how this kind of stuff happens relationally. And the last way is on-market deals. There are on-market deals that maybe at the price they're offering it at, it isn't a good deal, but it's not a bad property. And you never know what someone's going to take behind the scenes. You never know what they're dealing with. You never know what they're facing. You may hit them on the right day where they're like, you know what, I had it listed at, 2 million and I don't have any offers. So you're offering me 1.5. Yeah, that's 25% what I wanted or less than I wanted, but I'm interested. I'll talk. Let's see if we can work something out here. And boom, you got something going. So our on-market deals, they're probably the easiest because they're publicly listed, and you can still make an offer that works for you because you know what you're doing. You know how to underwrite. Okay, so how can I find a deal? It's work, right? I wish there was some magical website that had, hey, this is 10,000 motivated sellers that are going to sell you a deal at a great price. But if that was the case, everybody would have bought those deals and it'd be gone, right? You have to go against the crowd. All the crowd is only looking at on market. On market is okay and it works, but you've got to look other places. You've got to build real relationships and build real inside track information. Okay? Another question I get a lot is, how does the lending work, right? So let's say, hey, I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm talking to brokers. I found something that maybe works, but I still can't get this loan. So why am I doing this? Well, here's the beauty, guys. There are a ton of people that are out there looking to do deals. And if you're controlling the information, right, you're controlling the value of you found something, you made an offer, the offer got accepted, you maybe got some creative structure in there, you're going to have people that are interested in partnering with you and sponsoring your loan. I've sponsored loans for other people. There's 40 other people in the deal room that have all sponsored loans for other people and partnered with them to help them get that loan across the table. And the lending, most people don't realize this, but they think, well, man, I don't have a ton of money in the bank. The most expensive thing I've ever bought was my car or my house or whatever. I just don't have that ability. And how commercial lending works is they're looking at the aggregate group. They're looking at, like, if there's 3 people in the deal, if one guy can qualify for this loan and he's signing on it, then that deal is gonna go through. So it's not all on you, right? With a single family purchase, I mean, they're looking at like, well, what's his income? What's his other debts? What's his credit score? On and on and on. He's approved or he's denied based on his sole merits. With apartment deals, they're looking at, what is the deal support, right? What are the rents they're bringing in? What's the renovations needed? What's the quality of the area? What's the cap rate for the market? And then what is the strength of the loan guarantors? Do we have at least 1 or 2 people in that deal that have the financial strength to get this loan? And so when you realize you don't have to qualify for that loan all by yourself, you realize, holy cow, if I can provide value to somebody who can help me get this loan, I can get in a deal. That is a huge thing that I don't think most people realize. But once again, there's not a laundry list of people that are willing to step up and sign a $2 million loan on your behalf and partner with you, right? It takes a relationship. It takes conversations. It takes meeting them. It takes them looking at your deal and being like, hey, this is good. You've underwritten it correctly. This looks right. You're competent. You know what you're doing. You've got a good property manager set up. You've got the team. I've got part of the team too. Let's work together on this. Those things can happen, but they only happen through building relationships. Let's go to the next question that I get a ton. How do I get the down payment? This seems like to be one of the biggest obstacles. Is if I want to buy a $2 million place, I mean, how do I get $500,000 or $600,000? And then I'm probably going to need a little bit more money for renovations and maybe more for operating costs, et cetera, et cetera. So how do I get a chunk of change that big? Well, all that money that you need is in other people's bank accounts, right? And I don't mean that in a slimy way. And I don't mean that in a, like, you got to get this money out of people. It's not like that. Because on the same token, they have cash laying around that is not doing anything for them. And they want to put it in something that's going to make them money, right? So now they have to believe it's going to make them money. It's got to be a good deal. And you've got to be a good person. And you've got to be an ethical person. And you've got to know what you're doing. But if those pieces come together, there are people that are willing to invest, right? I'm working on a deal right now. We're raising about $1 million. And it's a great deal. It's great operators. I've known the operators for years. I've seen the work they've done. I've seen them turn over multiple complexes. I've looked at the underwriting because I know what I'm doing now with the underwriting. And I believe in the deal, right? And so I brought this out to market to investor bases and got snapped up. People wanted to invest. They wanted to place capital because they want to make a return. They want to earn more than 3-4% in their bank account on the money. And so when you realize there are people out there that are looking for what you have, if you have it, right? If you have a good deal and you have the competence, there are people that are willing to connect with you on the money. So that's one way to get the money. Another way is connecting with someone who can raise capital. If you don't want to do it yourself, there are people that will raise capital for you. There are people that's what they specialize in. And they're looking to build relationships with operators to help them fund their deals. And they're going to get a piece of the pie as well. Another way to do it is creative financing. We were looking at a deal 2 days ago in the deal room, or yesterday on Tuesday call, and the seller was offering like 80% seller financing. So they only had to bring 20% down. That's much, much better than a bank. We've also done deals where the seller stays in the deal as a investment partner, right? So when they close, they only get maybe 70% of the sale proceeds, and the rest they roll into the new deal as an investor. And so you work out a deal with them like, okay, you're going to get whatever, 5%, 6%, 7% on your money while it's in the deal, and you're going to get a piece of the upside. Or maybe it's just the interest rate because they're getting, the price that they wanted. I've bought a couple deals this way. So now you're talking no money down. You're not having to give up equity to investors. The seller is helping you with the down payment, and you're walking into a deal. How can I find deals with no money down? I mean, guys, I've closed like 5 deals with no money down. And most of my deals I've done with none of my own money down, right? I've done raising capital, and a lot of that was because I didn't have the money. It's not that I have millions and millions sitting around and I just wanted to raise capital from other people. It's just that I was getting started, right? I didn't have the resources to do this on my own. And the only way I could was to get other people to help me and to help them in return. So getting the down payment, once again, if you find something that is precious, you find something that is a good deal, there's going to be interest that's attracted to that if you're plugged in to the right networks. And this goes to my next question that I get is like, well, how do I find these people? How do I find these people? Yeah, Jenny, sounds great. I'd love to have an investor laundry list. I'd love to have loan sponsors lining up to sign on my loan. I'd love to have brokers calling me with off-market deals. How do I find these people? Well, I'll tell you one thing. They are not hanging out on a Friday night at the bar, drinking the $3 Miller Lite special. They're not. And you got to look at what circles are you in, right? If everybody in your circle is broke and everybody you're hanging out with doesn't have any dreams, doesn't have any goals, doesn't have any deals, isn't doing anything, then you're not going to find the type of people that you need to find. So the way to find these people, number one, is put your hand up and say, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for these kind of people. Letting people know what you're doing. You do this in personal conversations. You do this by going to conferences, going to meetups, going to real estate stuff, putting yourself out there, hanging out at the country clubs, learning to play golf. My brother-in-law, he's a financial advisor. He was an athlete in high school, athlete in college, never played golf. When he graduated, he picked up golf. One, because he really likes sports and he's athletic, but two, he knew that it was going to be a tool. Now, he's playing golf at these high-end clubs. He's joining clubs in other cities and going there once or twice a month to go play golf. And he's meeting high net worth individuals and he's helping them, invest in the stock market. That's what he does. And the same thing will go for investing in real estate. There are people out there, depending on the circle you're in, there are people out there that make $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a year. They're just pulling in high income and they're paying massive amounts of taxes and their bank accounts are growing and they're not investing all that. Maybe they're done with the stock market or they've invested too much in the stock market. They want to diversify. You don't know what other people's situations are unless they know what you're doing. So telling people what you do is critical, and then getting in those circles. Talking about my brother-in-law with the country clubs. People join the deal room, people join masterminds, people go to conferences, people travel around and get in these circles of other like-minded people that are actually doing deals and are connected to other people. And you increase that spider web of influence because you're in a different room. And I hate to break it to you, but most of the time these rooms cost money. The deal room has a cost. It's not a lot. It's $400 a month, but there's a cost to that, right? There's a barrier to entry. Country clubs, they cost money. Cost money to join. Cost money to play golf. It costs money to join masterminds. It costs money to go to conferences. It costs money to get in the room with other people. But guys, those rooms, they eliminate a lot of people. They eliminate a lot of people that are just never doing anything, not going anywhere because, I wouldn't pay $500 to go to a conference. Are you crazy? I'm not spending a week to fly out to Houston and attend this multifamily summit. I'm not joining a mastermind that's $20,000, $30,000 a year. Are you insane? Well, those kind of people aren't going to help you anyways. They don't have any money to invest. They don't have connections. They don't have the network that you need. The people that are, wow, I want to learn this. I'm obsessed with this. I'm doing this. I want to find other operators. I want to place capital. They're in those rooms, right? I've got a buddy in a mastermind of mine, and he's putting, quite a bit of money into a deal because he's built a relationship with me outside of this. And so when the opportunity came, he wanted to do it. But I had to invest in that network, one, for my own personal growth, but two, to get around other people that are pushing their dreams forward and doing bigger things than just, I want to exist. I want to, work my 9 to 5 and I want to drink beer on the weekends. That's my life. If I can do that, I'm happy. Great. And that's for some people. But if that's not for you, you can't be spending all your time with them. And lastly, how can I make money in multifamily? Everybody, wants to do this to make money, right? To generate income, to generate freedom so that they can quit their job or travel or have a retirement, whatever they want to do. There are a lot of ways to make money in multifamily, especially even when you're just starting out. So let's go back to how can I find a deal? Let's say all you did was educate yourself and made offers and you finally got something going. You got something that has potential. If you're plugged into the right network, you don't have to be on that loan. You don't have to raise any capital. You don't have to do the down payment. You can flip that deal for a finder's fee, 50 grand, 100 grand, whatever. You can flip it for a 5-10% equity in the deal. You can just turn that deal over and be done with it. You didn't have to raise any capital. You didn't have to operate. You didn't have to do anything. Right? That's one way to make money. Another way is you can raise capital for deals. You're not finding the deals. You're not putting in your own money. You're raising capital for other people. You find a couple operators that you trust, that you know what they're doing and can do a good job, and you help them fund their deals. And in doing that, they're going to pay you, right? They're going to pay you an upfront fee, part of the acquisition fee. They're going to pay you a piece of equity, a piece of the cash flow, and you're in a deal. You can also make money as an operator. You can get an asset management fee. Usually it's 1.5% to 2.5% of the gross rents. There's a couple $1,000s a month rolling in. You can make money on an acquisition fee when you close the deal. It's usually 1 to 3% of the purchase price of the deal. So a $4 million deal at a 3% acquisition fee is $120,000 split up between your partners. But there's money right there. You can make money through the cash flow. After you've stabilized it, you got the rents up and it's working well, there's excess cash flow every month that can be distributed. You make money when you sell it because you've added value. Multifamily is driven by net operating income. If you've got a building, I'm going to use round math. Let's say you've got a building that makes 100 grand a year in profit. This is after you've paid all your expenses, but before you've paid your mortgage. If it's making 100 grand at a 10 cap, which is a very, very good deal. You're not going to find a deal probably like that, but at a 10 cap, it's worth $1 million. Well, let's say that you're able to increase the net operating income by 50 grand, right? You're able to raise rents. Maybe there are a couple $100s under rent. Maybe you're able to get a new manager. Maybe you're able to trim expenses, get some water savings, do utility bill back, whatever it takes, and you get the rent roll up and you get the net operating income to $150,000. Your next buyer is going to be willing to pay $1.5 million for that property because you forced the appreciation. And at the sale, you're going to split up 500 grand, or you're going to refinance it. The bank's going to say, oh, you were all in it for $1 million. You had a $700,000 loan and a $300,000 down payment. We'll give you $1 million loan. You can pay off your first loan. You can pay back your investors. You still have $500,000 in equity. It's still cash flowing, and you can keep that. You can keep that as long as you want, right? So There are multiple ways to make money doing this, but it all starts with getting rid of the paralysis. And to get rid of the paralysis, you got to get curious, and you have to see that these problems can be solved. And maybe you have some more problems that are rolling around your head that I haven't addressed, but I promise they can be solved. Guys, I see it every day. I see people who've joined the deal room with a few rental homes, sometimes not even any rental homes. And a year or two later, they've got 50 units, 100 units. There's one guy in there that's got in 1,000 doors within 12 months, right? I grew from 5 trailers, 2 rental homes to over 1,000 units in 4 years, right? Because I wasn't willing to take no for an answer. I wasn't willing to say these problems can't be solved. There is a way. And when you start to let that sink into your mind that there is a way, this isn't impossible. These people that are doing this are no brighter than me. They're no richer than me. They're no smarter than me. And they can do it, so can I. And when you start to believe that, that's when you start getting curious about, okay, let me get into the nuts and bolts. How do I solve these problems? How do I find a deal? How do I find money? How do I plug into a network? How do I get loan sponsors? How do I close deals? How do I make money? And this is where that this is impossible becomes very, very possible, and it becomes routine. It becomes inevitable for you. So guys, I hope this is helpful. And if you have other questions, hit me up. If you want to plug into a network and you want to talk about the deal room, hit me up. If you want the analyzer and the 8 videos that go along with it to teach you how to use it, hit me up. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to help. This is my mission. This is my vision. This is my purpose. All right, guys, have a great week. Take some time to unlock your life. Peace.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.